Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Benzinga's PreMarket Prep. Spencer Israel, Joel Elconin, Dennis Dick. We're a crew for this morning. Got a lot of news to discuss. PCG cut their preferred dividend. I haven't seen that one before. We're going to talk about that. Earnings, of course, CAG, KMX, Finish Line, some sympathy plays moving with them as well. Veritone bought somebody. They're moving off that news. BIIB had some bad data. We'll talk about that. And then we've got two guests for you today. First up, at 8:15, we're going to be joined by Marc Chaikin, founder of Chaikin Analytics. And then at 8:35, special guest, new guest, Tim McCourt. He is the global head of equity products and alternative investments at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I cannot imagine what we're going to talk about with him. So Tim McCourt, 8:35, Marc Chaikin, 8:15. Joel, how's it going this morning in the S&Ps?
Trading in the green by 5 1/4. Found support right at the close and Wednesday's low. We got a pre-market high of 87 1/4. 88.5, folks. That's a big level I'm looking at on the upside. That will be a 50% retracement from your move from 2698 down to 2679. So that will be the key for today and probably tomorrow's quiet session ahead of the 3-day weekend. We have crude trading down 21 cents here at 51.88. Nice little consolidation here in crude over the last couple sessions. A little bit of a trading range. All eyes on the pair of highs here just above 58 in the crude oil market. Gold trading in the red for the first time in a few days, trading down $2 at $12.6760. Silver in the red by 9 cents at $16.19. And Bitcoin is not doing a lot today. It's down 4% here at $16,923.40. Just kind of consolidation here, but we'll get more into the Bitcoin when Tim McCourt joins us from the CME. Very excited about the futures product and the potential trading implications for that. Dennis, how you feeling this morning? Everyone was kind of worried about you yesterday.
Oh, no, I'm okay. I'm a little bit better today. Still kind of turned into a full cold here now. So not the chills like I was having yesterday and the nauseous feelings. So that's gone away. I can actually eat some food here this morning, which is nice to eat because yesterday I didn't eat anything. But no, I'm feeling better here today. Just a kind of a runny nose, a little bit of a sore throat. So looks like I just moved into a cold now, Joel.
All right, good to hear. So how do you trade when you're not feeling good? I mean, do you just try
just
and
fight through it.
You just try and get
flat? I have a blanket over me and I'm sitting at my keyboard and I still trade. I mean, you got positions on. It's hard to just, like people say, well, just take the day off. Well, I got like 35 positions coming in the day. What, I just let those float? Let that, just let whatever happens happen? You got to trade out of those positions. But then, me, I'm even putting more positions on. I can't help myself. So, yeah, I trade. There's rarely a day that I take off. And if I am going to take days off, it's going to be scheduled so that I don't have 35 day trading positions on overnight or something like that, because you can't just let those positions float. I mean, if you're a long-term swing trader, sure. But when you're a short-term day trader, you can't just let 30 positions just be whatever. If you're in it for stat arb, that stuff's going to move around.
Especially with your complicated hedging and strategy positions that that are only known to you. It's kind of hard just to pass the buck.
I think they're known to a lot of people. So, and I talk about them all on the show here too. So they're known to all our listeners anyways. Everybody knows how I trade.
All right. Where do you want to go here? Do you want to
go to your blockchain stock of the day?
Sure. Why not?
Well, it looks like it's going to be NQ Mobile. So NQ Mobile there was a report coming out of Rosenblatt, and he's the only analyst that's actually, I believe, covering NQ Mobile. And he's talking about their blockchain technology. And that's why if you're looking at NQ Mobile trading up 17% here this morning, it's not the company, it was the analyst that was talking about it. So I don't think it's going to pull an NETE, but it's getting a nice bid here this morning, NQ, because an analyst mentioned blockchain.
This stock got blasted a few years ago, I remember, and it been slow to recover, but we are trading in the green here by 70 cents or 17%. You just made a pre-market high of 480. You got a little volume being thrown around here. For me, the interesting area is the 450 area. You had a series of 4 highs back there at the end of November. You hold 450, greener pastures ahead. I haven't traded in the $5 handle since May of 2016 when you had a 518 high. So there's a couple targets, 518 on the upside for NQ Mobile.
Let's just go where we're talking blockchain stocks. Let's talk about NETE. It's up another 50% here today. I mean, this is incredible, actually, when these things just announce whatever. It's up 65%. Sorry. It was 50% when I looked at it a few minutes ago. It's up 65% here now. Stock we know on the show came out, at 8:30 and announced blockchain technology. Went from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10. By the time we were done, the show was trading up at 14. That party just continues and continues today here, getting all the way up, blowing through yesterday's high of $24.98, now trading at $32.13. I'll just say all these things are nuts.
And trading right at the highs of the pre-market session. One of your first spike at 430 took it up to 33.80, actually. So we have backed off a little bit. On that 33.80 high, holding in here at the 32.13. I can't even guess where these things are going, Dennis.
You can't.
Yeah.
How can you? I mean, these are, and if we look, this thing's got a lower float, and the all-time highs are back in 2012, $1,200 a share. So these things can go anywhere. They're just, when they get hot like this, they just take off. I mean, that's why so difficult. First of all, if you can even find a locate. But the second thing is, who knows? You could say, okay, yeah, maybe this thing, a year from now is back at $5. I think there's a high likelihood that's the case. But in the meantime, it could go to 50, go to 100. Like, look at the Alphin. We talked about that and joked around that day when the stock was 37. I said, you can't show these things. It could be $100 today. And I kind of said it jokingly, and it went to 140. It just goes to show you these things, you just can't short them, I think. Like, I mean, if you've got guts, I guess, but the locate and the risk on the short side is just absolutely incredible. So I'm pretty much hands off on all of these stocks, but man, if you get on the right side of one of these trades, make a lot of money in a hurry.
Trading what you know, not what you fear, right?
Well, that's what you got to do too, and I've always said that. What I know is the more boring stocks, and we've talked about that before, so we don't need to jump into that. Okay. But let's move away from the blockchain plays, at least for now. If we get one, I will let you know. I've got, some scanners running, trying to find anything that says blockchain in it. So I'll let you know if I see anything with blockchain. But in the meantime, let's go to our one earnings report from last night. That is Bed Bath & Beyond. Triple BY reported earnings. Spencer, give us the details.
Yep, BBBY reporting Q3 EPS 44 cents versus 37 cents. Sales of $3 billion versus 2.9. So a beat on the top, beat on the bottom. Q3 comps were about flat. They were down 0.3%. They also reaffirmed their fiscal year EPS guidance.
So Triple BY gets a nice lift. Everybody's buying it after hours. And actually, I saw it go over $26. And then the people came in with their selling shoes on, and they hit this thing all the way down. And it's now in the red. So gives it all back. Like I've been saying, I think the retail rally has fizzled out. I said this last week, 3-4 days ago. Macy's has not been able to make a new high. Looks like a little bit of a topping formation. Kohl's, not that this is anything related, but they're not coming in. Before 2 weeks ago, when a retailer reported, they were buying them no matter what. They're not doing that now. And this is an okay report. They're not doing it again now. That's telling me more evidence that the recent rally in the box stores, I think, has fizzled out. And Triple BY on an okay report kind of had already run up into it. You look at November, we were down at 19, then we were up at 24.5. Actually was priced in. When these things were rallying before, they were sitting down near the lows. This was not. This was sitting at its 2-month high. So I think that's the big difference. That's why stock's right now.
26, try 26.96. That's your pre-market.
Almost $27.
Yeah.
You almost got to be out there. If you're in these things long right now, you're getting nice pops after hours in a lot of stocks. And I think there's an opportunity there, obviously, if you're long or if you got calls or something, sell the stock against your calls. There's some good opportunities because the things are thin after hours. So that's one opportunity that you've got, is these things do get carried away, it seems like, on the earnings reports.
2283. That's your pre-market low. Trading in the 23 handle, 23 and a quarter. It seems to be stabilizing a little bit at this area. I'd keep an eye on the pre-market low. That coincides with your December 4th low at 2271. After that, you got a big drop down to 2195. But found support, same area you did on December 4th. And just on the chart here, you can see a little bit of support. So big move. Well, we'll see if we can hold that pre-market low.
This morning, we've had a lot of earnings reports here. Let's jump over to Finish Line, FINL. That stock's getting a good lift here, and they are pretty much blowing it away. Spencer, details.
Again, I don't know if I've ever actually been to a Finish Line before, but Finish Line, I feel like I say that every time. Finish Line Q3 adjusted EPS, a 26-cent loss versus a 36-cent loss estimate. Sales of $378 versus $361 million, so a beat on the sales number. A 10-cent beat on the EPS. Comps were up just under 1% for the quarter. They are also raising their outlook for the fiscal year. They're raising their EPS. They see comps for the fiscal year down 2 to 3%. They're also their Q4 EPS guidance came in line.
I mean, you could still be squeezing the shorts here a little bit too. It's a pretty good report, so it's not surprising that the stock is trading higher. It had run up a bit in the report. Put it in perspective, those stocks started the year up at $20, so still significantly down from where it was. Getting some of those losses back is when it's trading up 11% in the pre-market. Is this lifting some of your other shoes? Foot Locker up a little bit. Nike, it's going to report tonight. It's up a little bit. Finish Line though, up a lot.
Yeah, 1305. We just made that print back under 13 at 1298. 13 was an area of resistance. Back on August 15th, you had a 1301 high and then a gap to fill up to 1328, a close at 1334. So let's see if you could fill that gap at 1328. That could be another target on the upside. And also your August 14th high at 1352. So getting a lift, but holding the bid here. So I think we could see that 1352 challenged.
Give us those Accenture numbers. ACN, this stock is actually trading up at new all-time highs here right now as we speak. What are the details?
ACN Q1 EPS $1.79 versus $1.67. Sales of 9.5 versus $9.26 billion. So good Q1 numbers. They're also raising their EPS for the fiscal year, raising it by 10 cents.
So raising guidance, they did everything right in this quarter. The only concern is that it has been running up, but not a lot. I mean, really, when you put it in perspective, it was 145, 151. It hadn't run up a ton. I mean, the chart looks up, but you really got to always put it in perspective because some of these other tech stocks really ran up in the reports. This one didn't run up that much. It's kind of been hanging out for a week and a half. So I don't know if it fits the bill of a stock that's been running up into the report, not blowing it away. So we'll see. Right now, it's trading higher. As long as it holds on, I would say it stays above the old all-time high at 153.75. Yep. Bulls are in control.
Bulls are in control here, trading up $4 at the highs of the pre-market session, 155.75. Not a ton of volume associated with this move up, but nonetheless, you can't ignore the price action. Half and whole numbers are really the only thing you can focus on. I like Dennis's number on the downside. Your former all-time high just made a few sessions ago at 153.75. That could act as a buffer for support. All-time closing high is a little bit below that at 152.22. So important to hold these gains off that opening print.
Conagra CAG also report earnings. Food stock here. Stock is trading up about $1.11. Spencer, how'd they do?
55 cents versus 52 cents. Sales of 2.17 versus 2.07 billion dollars. So a beat for the Q2 numbers. Their fiscal year guidance came in near the high end of the range. $1.84 to $1.89 is their guidance, and $1.89 was the estimate.
What's the high after hours, Joel, or pre-market?
40.49.
Overdone. I don't think this thing. I think 40 will be a roadblock. Anytime you're buying, here's another tip for you. Anytime you're buying higher than a big whole number that hasn't traded at in a long time, you're asking for trouble. Right away, I think on something like this, pretty good report, but I think 40 is going to put a lid on it. Even before, I look at any order flow, before I look at, what it's done in the pre-market. So if I was awake, I would have probably been selling it above 40. didn't get a shot there or not going to get a shot right now. Maybe you do in the regular session. If it takes it out in the regular session, then, great. Then it can move higher. But I think 40 is an initial red block for this.
Trading up $1.61, which is a big move for a food stock at $39.75. Did you just hit it, Dennis? It just went to $39.49. I just saw a little downtick there. 40, a big number you haven't seen in quite some time.
That was off exchange. That wasn't me.
Okay. Your June high in ConAgra, if in fact you can climb into the $40 handle, but you don't want to hold out for that pre-market high of 40.49. Take a look at your June high at 40.25. I did mention in the chat here, GIS had that report and it was able to hold on to some of its gains too. Had a whippy session, but did have some follow through. So hopefully you can hold the gains off the open. We're a minute late for Mr. Chaikin.
That's okay. We're going to bring Marc on the fly. This is Marc Chaikin.
Okay.
He is from Chaikin Analytics, longtime Wall Street vet. He's got some thoughts for us on tax cuts and I hope some individual stocks. Marc Chaikin. Marc, you with us?
I am. Good morning, Spencer.
How's it going, Marc?
It's going well.
Good. Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, you're on with myself, Joel, Dennis. Real quick, before we really dive into some individual names, can you just give us your thoughts on yesterday's news of the tax cut passing and what that means for specific sectors that you're watching that you like or you don't like?
Tax cut is very bullish, and we're always starting to see the results of that. Companies like AT&T, Wells Fargo, Comcast, Boeing handing out bonuses, doing some hiring. So it's very bullish for companies with higher tax rates. And these tend to be smaller cap companies that can't maneuver into tax havens as the large caps can. One sector that's negatively impacted, I think, are the electric and gas utilities. These are regulated industries. They'll benefit from the tax cuts, but they have to pass that benefit along to you and me, the subscribers, the customers who buy the electricity. So these stocks were overpriced. I think the tax cut's going to lead to higher interest rates. The Fed has already told us they're probably going to raise 3 times in 2018. So interest rate sensitive stocks like the utilities, the real estate trusts that compete with bond yields for investor capital are not going to really be the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries are going to be some of the infrastructure companies, the financial stocks, brokers and investment managers particularly. So I think across the board, there's going to be some serious stimulus in terms of short-term effect that we started to see this morning, and then the longer-term effect of that lower tax rate. It's a huge boost to corporate earnings. Takes this whole notion that the market is overvalued and we're going to get a bear market because of overvaluations. That actually never happens, but it takes that completely off the table because forward 12-month PEs are now very, very reasonable, given that we have an inflation rate of just under 2%.
I thought you said that small caps will outperform. Is that because of the new tax deal, or is that just in general?
It's for 2 reasons. Number one, small caps tend to do well in a rising interest rate environment. So we had the Treasury yields up near 12-month highs yesterday on the 10-year. And so interest rates, to me, are clearly going up. There's a bar at around 255, 260 on the 10-year, which if we break through in terms of yields on the upside, confirms the fact that bonds are going to be vulnerable. So small caps do well in a rising interest rate environment, and they are the biggest beneficiaries of the lower tax rate. The small financial stocks particularly do very well in this environment. So I think across the board, this is going to help, but small caps should lead the market. You've got seasonality on the side of the small caps. They typically outperform in the last half of December going into January. I actually think we're going to see 3 months of superior performance from small caps versus large caps.
All right. I always love getting some bullish and bearish stocks from you. So any names that the Chaikin Power Gauge is particularly bullish or bearish on recently?
We've been bullish on one segment of the energy sector, which is trying like heck to break out. It's been in a trading range now for 3 months. And these are the integrated refiners and retailers. So Valero, Marathon Petroleum, Phillips 66, and then on the exploration side, Devon, all very positive. In the broker and investment manager space, T. Rowe Price, Evercore, Stifel Financial, and Lazard. There are groups of stocks that are doing really well here, Spencer. And then on the apparel side, stocks like Michael Kors, Ralph Lauren, really positive. And then one trend I'd like to focus on is that it appears that the 12-year apartment rental boom has peaked. So we're bearish on the REITs in that space. EQR was our bearish stock of the week in Chaikin Analytics. We're going to be talking more about that on our webinar tonight. They're one of the two largest apartment REITs in the country, negatively affected. Millennials are buying houses now. That's why D.R. Horton and Lennar are doing well. And then Avalon Bay is also bearish. They're in the apartment REIT business. So the REITs have a problem in two respects. Yields, again, compete with bonds, just as with electric utilities. And the demographic trend seems to be working against them with this 12-year rental boom apparently peaking.
Got a question from our chat from Rob Hood on CXO. Do you have thoughts there?
To check that on the charts. While we're doing that, I noticed you guys have been talking about Biogen. Don't know what you've been saying. That's been very bullish in Chaikin Analytics. CXO, the chart looks great. We don't have a bullish rating, but I like the fact that it's making a new 52-week high here. Chaikin money flow is negative as we make this high. I'd wait for a pullback. I don't think you have to pay up for it at this level. But shifting back to Biogen, there was a negative story this morning about an Alzheimer's drug that's in trial testing. The stock's down about 12 points pre-market. I think wait a day or two for the dust to settle and move back into Biogen. It ran up against resistance at our upper volatility bands twice, 333 and then 335, trading around 320 this morning. And I think after another day or two, this is a stock you want to be buying.
Hey, Mark, Dennis Dick here. Can you just describe, you just gave a term here, the Chaikin money flow. Some of our listeners might not be familiar with how you come up with that. Can you just describe exactly what the Chaikin money flow is?
I'm happy to. Chaikin money flow was introduced 35 years ago. It's on every online brokerage platform. It's on stockcharts.com. It looks at where a stock closes in its range for the day, relates that to the volume, and then summarizes that over 21 days. It's a great measure of institutional accumulation and distribution. So we've been using it in a variety of ways. We look for big periods where institutions buy even on dips so that money flow never goes negative below zero line. So D.R. Horton's an example of that, Michael Kors. Then we also look for these divergences like we're just seeing in CXO, stock making a new 52-week high. Money flow should be green. It's red. What does that tell me? It tells me that the institutions are selling under the cover of strength. So that's a very powerful signal that can help you get out of a stock when it's overextended with some confidence that you're not leaving a lot of money on the table.
Mark, one more from the chat. Chipotle, you got thoughts there?
Chipotle, the power gauge is still bearish. God, this is now almost 2 years. They had another E. coli scare there. I just wouldn't be bottom fishing in E. coli. That's been extremely expensive to try and call those bottoms.
They just can't seem to get away from it.
No, and some stocks just are jinx. This stock, sadly, which was a really well-run chain, whatever they do seems to backfire. Part of the reason that the stock rallied about a year ago is they went to fresh ingredients, to try and capture that whole fresh organic market. And that's where some of the tainted pork came in. This is not a place to be. There are better, you want to be in the restaurant chains. You want to buy Darden on a pullback. You don't want to mess with Chipotle. It's just tainted goods here.
What are your thoughts on these utility stocks, but specifically the ones out in California? Because we're seeing this morning here, and we talked about this just highlighting the show. We haven't really got into it yet. PCG is coming out here this morning. They are cutting the dividend and are actually suspending it altogether. They're scared about liability from these California wildfires. If you're also looking out there, there's also Edison International, EIX. It's down in sympathy as well. I mean, this PCG, these utility stocks, which typically don't move a lot, all of a sudden, obviously, it's collapsed here. It's down 10% this morning. We're approaching 2.5-year lows on it now. What are your thoughts here on, first of all, obviously, this is terrible these wildfires caused, but what are your thoughts on these two stocks, PCG, EIX?
Well, again, people who try to bottom fish at the 56, 7 level are hurting here with the stock down around 51. Even having dropped from 70 to 51, the yield is only 4%. So, now they've cut or suspended the dividend.
It's straight up 45 this morning now. So they're really killing.
Oh, is that right? So you've got
they knocked another $6 off.
This is the proverbial trying to catch the javelin. This is really tough. I don't see the point to it. There'll be with all stocks that cascade down like this, whatever industry group they're in, there's always a time when you can buy them on a double bottom. You try and catch the javelin and you know what happens, but I don't like the utility stocks in general here. I didn't like them when they were making new highs, even though they had bullish power gauge ratings, because these are really slow growth companies. They have a hard time growing more than 6 or 7% a year. So they're really a yield play. And as I said earlier, the tax cut doesn't help them because they have to pass it on to the consumers in the form of lower rates. And so as bond yields are going up, they become more attractive relative to the utility stocks. And you've got these two stocks that are just in free fall, and nobody really knows what the damage is here. Very, very tough to bottom fish, especially when there's news triggers that can just come out of the blue like this.
We're on the line with Marc Chaikin of Chaikin Analytics. Marc, you mentioned seasonality earlier in the conversation. I mean, what are your expectations here for a Santa Claus rally? I think 70% of the time, I think going back to the mid 80s here, we've had a nice bump during the holiday week. And here we are sitting on some tremendous gains this year. Are you looking for that trend to hold true?
I am, and I think a couple of things happened this week that are going to accelerate that. I'm looking for small caps to be up another 2 to 3% between now and year end. But the Micron earnings report on Tuesday after the close was another blowout positive earnings surprise. Micron was up 4% yesterday, but more importantly, Lam Research and Intel were up big yesterday. So I think tech stocks are going to get a second wind, which is going to help the large cap sector as well. And then you had the FedEx report yesterday, which tells you that, global package shipments are way up, very positive guidance from FedEx. So I think we have all the ingredients. We've been in an earnings-driven bull market, which is what we've been talking about for the last 12 to 15 months. Analysts are very bullish heading into the first quarter. You're going to get GDP at 8:30 here. I don't know if it'll be out in 2 minutes. Likely to show 3.2%, 3.3% growth in the third quarter, and they're projecting similar growth in the fourth quarter. We're going to have a year-end rally, but I think it's going to carry over into January. You may see a little bit of profit taking in January as people defer selling for capital gains purposes into the early part of January. You're going to have lower tax rates in 18. And of course, if you sell in January, you don't have to pay those taxes till April of 19. So there'll be some short-term cross currents, but in general, I think you're going to find sellers very scarce here between now and year end, and both small caps and large caps should do really well.
Marc Chaikin is from Chaikin Analytics. Marc, thanks so much for joining us today. I don't think we'll speak to you before the end of the year, so have a good New Year, man.
Yeah, this has been great with you guys. Joel, Dennis, Spencer, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah. This has just been great. I love being on the show, and hopefully we've helped the listeners. So that's what it's all about.
I think you have. Love having you on, Marc. Have it going.
Be good.
Perfect timing here. 8:30. We have some imbalances coming out. S&P is trading up 5 1/4, 86.75. Dennis, any notable imbalances here at the first look?
I guess not. And also,
sorry, I was on mute.
Also,
at 8:30, 2 Canadian stocks just came out with blockchain announcements. It's not going to help us if you're trading because there's no pre-market in Canada there. But I'm looking. Looks like this is from Global Newswire. Network Newswire announces. It looks like BIGG, which is a Canadian stock, big blockchain intelligence groups. And then I'm just looking at what's potentially blocking for my blockchain filter. It came out at 8:30, but it doesn't look like any U.S. stocks there. So
yeah,
we'll move on
you also
to
have GDP that's out.
Pardon me?
GDP just came out also.
Yeah. Give us the GDP number.
All right, 3.2% versus 3.3.
Didn't move market.
I didn't even finish. 3.2 versus 3.3. The prior was 3.3. That's it.
All right, and then balances here. Nothing's huge. GE, which broke down yesterday. I know you're playing it from the short side there, Joel, and I've been tempted to play it along with you. 100,000 to sell here this morning in GE. It's somewhat significant. It definitely looks heavy to me. I think tax loss selling is going to weigh on GE over the course of the next week or two, and who knows, I may even participate in that tax loss selling. Coca-Cola, 67,000 to sell. They were really small. Twitter, 34,000 to sell, small sell on balance. Man, there's just nothing of significance here. It's like no institution showing their hand. Maybe that's to do with the GDP report. They didn't want to have their orders out there. I'm not sure, but not much happening here in the pre-market. 3M, 34,000 to sell. FedEx, 40,000 to buy. A little bit of follow-through buying from yesterday. FedEx had a great day yesterday after their earnings report.
All right, we got a few minutes here before our next guest, Tim McCourt of the CME. Did we finish up? Let me go back to my doc here, see if we finished up all of our earnings stocks. Boom, boom.
There's a couple other ones, but let's go to those utility plays. We briefly talked about it with Marc there, Chaikin, but this PCG is big news. I mean, you don't see utility stocks all of a sudden suspend their dividend, not only on the common, suspended it on all their preferreds too. And there's like 10 of their preferreds out there. There's like PCG PRI, PCG PRH, PCG PRG, PCG PRC, D, E, B. All these things were trading basically at par. So I think all these things are probably going to, open lower here today. It's a matter of how much and how long the suspension is going to be. We don't know. They are obviously saying that they think they're going to be liable. I mean, you wouldn't be spending all these dividends ahead of time if they didn't think they had some liability. And that's what they were saying, holding on to cash because they don't know. This is scary. I mean, here's a utility stock. It's supposed to be a defensive play for you. And you're holding this in September, October, all of a sudden the wildfires happen, and now there could be some liability here. And, we have some precedents for this before, not utilities, not with wildfires, but with BP. Remember, BP obviously had the huge oil spill, and the stock went, if we go back into the monthly charts, it went from, upwards of, well, I can't even go that far. What years was that, Joel?
Let me go to the monthly charts here, and
I have a big wait. Hold on, can I interrupt with a crazy blockchain thing we just broke?
Yeah, what do you got?
Oh my! I cannot believe I'm reading this. Long Island iced tea.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Long blockchain.
Oh my!
Long
goodness.
blockchain corporation. Oh my!
Long Island iced tea to rebrand as a Long Blockchain Corporation. LTEA. It's up 128%. Look, I was on my blockchain filter. I started talking about PCG. I missed it. So that came out from, obviously here, and we're looking 832.16. That came out at 832.16. I'm just trying to look at the trades. Wow, it's crazy.
I don't know what to do. I'm almost.
Oh, you don't sell it. I'll tell you that.
No, I'm not talking about these stocks. I almost want to get flat everything in my portfolio. I do. I just want out. Uncle, I don't care. I really don't care if the market, if the S&Ps go to 6,000. Is
that like the real Long Island iced tea? Like, is that like,
yes,
is that like a drink company?
Yes.
And they're going to rebrand their name Long Blockchain Corp.
Yes.
And the stock's up 125% because of this.
I don't know what to say.
This is getting to a point of ridiculousness. You can't sell it. We watched what LTEA did yesterday. I mean, it's up 129%. This is just starting to make the rounds. Only happened 2 minutes ago. I don't know. Can you buy? I don't really want to. I don't know if I want to chase it up that much, but holy cow!
I mean, are they still going to sell iced tea? Is what I want to know. Are they still going to sell that, Jake? Oh man, I don't know. There was a little rumble on the
You should
desk.
just talk blockchain plays and that's it. I mean, that's where all the money's being made right now. Never leave block. Just stare at the news wire and wait for somebody to say something on blockchain.
Dennis,
Holy cow.
All right, 8:35. We got another guest coming
LTEA. Up. Wow.
All right. Now it's time to take a break, and we're going to talk with Tim McCourt. He's global head of equity products and alternative investments at the CME, and we'll go back talking blockchain and Bitcoin. We'll be right back with Tim. Welcome back, traders and investors, to Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep, brought to you by Benzinga Pro. I'm your co-host, Joel Elconin, along with Dennis Dick, Spencer Israel, working the boards. And we are joined on the line by Tim McCourt. He's the global head of equity products and alternative investments at the CME. Tim, how you doing on this Thursday morning?
Great. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Doing well here, covering the blockchain stocks and Bitcoin. And just want to talk to you. The Merc recently launched their Bitcoin futures product and getting off to a pretty decent start here. Tell us about the product and what makes it unique.
Yeah, so, as you said, we launched the Bitcoin futures at CME this past Sunday night for this week, and we're very excited about it. We think we had a very good response and balanced customer participation thus far in. And I think what makes the product unique at CME is that our future is settled to what is referred to as the Bitcoin reference rate, or commonly known as the BRR, which is a index that is comprised of 4 spot exchanges, being Bitstamp, ItBit, GDAX, and Kraken. And so we think that is a unique feature of our product, where that index, that reference rate, is established once a day between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. London time, where that 1 hour window is partitioned into 12 5-minute equally weighted samples, and those 4 spot transaction platforms submit their transactions to that calculation window. So we think that's a distinguishing feature about our product, as well as the global customer participation pool that CME provides for all our products. We think those are 2 very unique things that we offer, and very excited about now launching the Bitcoin future on the CME.
And this is something you guys have been studying for a while here. Bitcoin's been around for a while. You guys have been observing the trading, and when we were talking yesterday, you guys have been studying this BRR for quite some time here to determine the best way to establish a closing price. Talk about how long the Merc has been following the Bitcoin and setting up the BRR.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something that is very exciting. When we look at the BRR that was first launched and published in November of 2016. So a little over a year ago. And that entire time, CME has been watching Bitcoin, and our customers have been watching Bitcoin, and customer demand has continually increased over that time, where there's been this upwelling of interest and demand from our customers about needing to increase their risk management needs around Bitcoin and around other cryptocurrencies. But we've decided to focus on Bitcoin. And what's interesting is when you look at it, this index, this calculation methodology that I was just talking about, how it takes multiple spot transactions in the Bitcoin market to amalgamate into this one daily reference rate. We think that makes the reference rate more resistant to manipulation. And then when you overlay some of the CME risk controls, such as price limits or position limits, as well as our clearing and credit controls, we think this makes for a balanced, transparent, fair, and efficient market for customers that want to risk manage or gain access to Bitcoin can do so at CME.
Now, Bitcoin, trades 24/7. I know the way the Merc products trade, 6 p.m. open on Sunday, basically till 5 o'clock on Friday. Was there any consideration to, opening up the Bitcoin futures trading to encompass the entire cash market trading?
I think that's a good question. And to your point, CME is also open nearly 24 hours a day, kind of with the exception of Friday night and Saturday, and then we reopen on Sunday. And I think when you look at that, it's something that is unique, absolutely, about the underlying spot Bitcoin market, is that it is a market that never closes. We had some brief discussions about, is that the right approach to emulate the exact thing? And just it's more important for us to maintain the current Globex trading hours. We do have certain things that we need to do over the weekend with new product releases and things on related to Globex and other technologies, where it just wasn't something that we could consider right now. So that's why we stuck to the existing Globex trading schedule. But the feedback from customers has been that's sufficient for now, and they're still excited about trading the product at CME, at Globex. And I think the one thing that's interesting is when we look at that first day of the launch earlier this week, the other benefit about Globex is its global reach. So about 20% of our volume in the contract on the first day of trading came from outside the U.S. So not only is it available 24 hours, it's available in each kind of respective region, made part of their own trading day, which is something that is important for customers and I think participants to realize. And that's where our focus is to make sure that it plugs and plays with our existing Globex distribution. And when people need to trade it, they can trade it at CME.
There's been some concern expressed by some market participants that, the Bitcoin trading, the futures trading, if not regulated properly, could have a disastrous impact on the entire, financial system. What safeguards or risk controls does the Merc have in place in order to avoid this kind of an incident?
Yeah, so CME, just like with any new product or any market that we currently operate, we do have a plethora of risk controls and credit controls and tools at our disposal to ensure and maintain the orderly trading of any product in any market. Some of those specific controls that we have designed for Bitcoin, or I should say adapted to Bitcoin, we have 1,000 spot front month contract position limits on Bitcoin. We have slightly higher margin than our traditional products, where the margin is about 43% for hedgers, 47% for speculators as of today. And then when we look at things like price limits and circuit breakers at the 7, 13, and 20% handles, those are all things that we deploy around the trading of Globex and the maintenance of positions. But also in terms of the margining aspects of CME, CME marks the market our contracts twice daily, including Bitcoin, once around 11 a.m. in the morning and then at the end of the day. And we collect margin against those marks to prevent gains and losses from accumulating in the system. So it's really the confluence of all these things that come together on the Globex platform here at CME that make for the fair, efficient, and orderly market, which we now are working on diligently creating and maintaining for Bitcoin since launch on Monday.
How did you come up with the numbers for the circuit breakers? The 7, 13, and 20, you said?
That's correct. The circuit breakers are 7, 13, and 20%. And it's based on a few different things, where one is the historic price behavior of the Bitcoin reference rate as well as the Bitcoin real-time index. And we also looked at the other logic we've deployed on other index products at CME that also use similarly related percentages of 7, 13, and 20. The one distinction, though, that I would make for Bitcoin is that the 7 and 13% circuit breaker is often what's referred to as a soft limit. That meaning is if it hits that limit, it starts a 2-minute timer, where if at the end of 2 minutes, that contract is off that limit, trading will remain uninterrupted, but the limit will expand to the next level, so 13 or 20%. If that, at the end of that 2-minute timer, at the 7 to 13% circuit breaker, if it still is at the limit, the market will halt for 2 minutes and go into a pre-open state where people can enter orders or cancel orders at the expanded limit level, but the contract will pause for 2 minutes. What's different about the 20% limit is that that's a hard limit. The price cannot traverse that barrier for the day, but the contract will not halt. It's allowed to trade at the limit or in between. The other distinction that we have for Bitcoin is these price limits and circuit breakers exist both to the upside and the downside of the contract, which is a slight distinguishing feature as well.
We're on the line with Tim McCourt, Global Head Equity Products and Alternative Investments at the CME. Just quickly, Tim, before we let you go, I mean, we have the Bitcoin products. Tell us about some of the other array of products that the CME offers.
Yeah, so in terms of, as my title would suggest, I'm the Global Head of Equity Products and Alternative Investments. And the other products that we have that we're very excited about is we launched the Russell 2000 back in July, which is doing fantastically well in its return to CME. We're very proud to have that contract back home at CME and glad to see that it's doing so well so quickly. Other areas of focus, where we have things like the sector futures, the E-mini S&P 500. We've looked at S&P 500 total return futures and dividend futures over the last few years that we've introduced. So we do have kind of a global product offering at CME, and we also recently announced back in October that we'll be launching futures on the topics index, the Japanese benchmark product, and that will be coming to market in Q1. So we have lots of good things going on here at CME that my team is bringing to market. Not just Bitcoin, but Bitcoin by far is, I think there's a lot of excitement. I think anecdotally, when you're talking to some of the salespeople here at CME and some of the folks who have been here for a very long time, or some of the members, there hasn't been this much product excitement, I think, in a long time, and people are very excited about this, and so are our customers. And it's been a fantastic experience to watch this contract launch this week, and we're very pleased with the progress to date, and the feedback from customers has been strong. And we look on continuing to grow these markets and continue to innovate and deliver products to our customers that meet their risk management needs here at the CME.
Based on your 212 phone number, you're out of the New York office for the CME, correct?
That's correct. I'm in New York, downtown here at the NYMEX building, but in Chicago often at our global headquarters. And I also have a team members based in Chicago, London, and Singapore that support our index complex here at CME.
The reason I asked is that, I just wonder, some of the old timers that, were order fillers and the live cattle and the live hogs and the pork bellies, longtime members of the exchange. I just wondered if I know you get feedback for customers that want the product traded, but, what is some of the old timers saying? I mean, from pork bellies to Bitcoin, what a transformation. Do you get any comments from the old guard there at the CME?
Yeah, I think lots of customers and members have reached out who have been members for several decades here at CME. And I think it's been fairly encouraging and positive because even though Bitcoin may be substantially different, to your point, from some of those agricultural product contracts, I think it's just another example of CME innovating and continuing to meet the customer demand-driven process here of them reaching out and us engaging with them to make sure they have the tools they need to efficiently manage their risk or access a market that they may not want to access the underlying spot or physical market. So although I think the nuances of Bitcoin may be intriguing and fascinating and perhaps foreign to some, this is just another example of CME working with customers to deliver an innovative product that meets their risk management needs, and that we try to do so in a very efficient, fair, transparent, and orderly manner, such that if people need to buy or sell exposure related to Bitcoin, they can do so with confidence at CME.
We've been on the line with Tim McCourt. He's the Global Head of Equity Products and Alternative Investments at the CME, discussing the unique aspects of the CME Bitcoin contract. We'll be in touch with you soon, Tim, to get some updates on this. Thanks for coming on the show. Enjoy the holidays.
Thanks, you too, and thanks for having me.
All right, so we just talk about Long Island
I
iced tea.
would love to recap that and talk
I'm just
about,
in shock here.
I would love to recap that interview. It was great, but I can't stop. I think we should know that LTEA, we are approaching an all-time high in this, Joel. I mean,
No, is it?
12.55. Unless I'm wrong?
Yeah.
Is it really like the long, like that's what they did? They sold beverages? Is that really, like, I would assume that's what they did. Like, can we get what the actual company did before they're moving into blockchain?
No, they're not moving into blockchain. They have no plans to move it. They have no contracts. They just changed their name. They just so move is a strong word, I would say.
I don't even know what to say anymore. So yeah, Long Island Iced Tea Corp is an American producer of many flavors of ready-to-drink iced teas based in Hicksville, New York. They're like, okay, well, we're sick of our stock not going up, and this iced tea market isn't happening. Let's go to blockchain. Let's change our name to blockchain. Long Island Blockchain. I told you GE should do this. They'd be up. It's 452%. It's up.
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, I can't understand it anymore.
It's
all
fake.
utter nonsense. But man, there's real money being made here. We had one of our listeners or users in the chat there. Was it John? John, he just bought at 7, sold it at 9. Made $6,000. Nice job, buddy. I mean, this is incredible.
Is this is not fake news?
This
right?
is better. Like, all you have to do is add blockchain to your name. It's better than any takeover. It's better than anything you could possibly do for the company. Every single company on the New York Stock Exchange should add blockchain to their name all of a sudden, I guess. That's all you need to do if you want your stock out of the gutter.
When will this end, though? It
will end. This is a mania. This will not, like, eventually it's going to be 100 companies doing this a day, especially if they're not.
What's the SEC doing? I mean,
well, it takes time over there. But okay, here's the deal. You can do whatever you want. If you're this company and you're just, changing your name, Long Island Blockchain, I don't know if they're going to have a problem with it. The problem they're going to have, and this is what's going to happen, is if they are changing their name and then turning around and they're selling, all the insiders are selling it right now, $14. If they're doing that,
14 and a quarter,
or whatever,
14.27.
It's up 500%. If they're doing that, I think they should all just be thrown in prison forever. Like, if they are literally just changing their name and then the next day sell, getting out of all their stock.
14.54.
And you know what? It is blatant manipulation if that is the case. And I think they will. But if they're not selling, then I don't know. I guess if there's no, selling of
15.
The stock.
I hear 15 bid in the house. 15
it's
bid.
going to like,
I'm 15 bid for 45,000. Nope, not 15 and a half bid.
It's nuts. It's nuts. It's a low float stock. So it's on these low flow companies. That's all you got to do is watch these, just watch for blockchain. Somebody comes out with something and boom. I guess, when it's up 100%, who cares? You just got to buy because it's going up 1,000,000%, it seems like. It's nuts, man.
1460.
Okay, sure. I went through the tech bubble and it was crazy back then too. But was it like this, Joel? I don't remember this. You just, you came out with a website. Maybe it was. You just came out with a website. All of a sudden we got pets.com and boom. It's all of a sudden worth 1,000% increase in the price of your stock. What are people doing? The people putting real money into this stuff? I mean, they're making real money. If you turn around day trade, these are day trading, vehicles here. But do you think people are like buying these companies and going to put them away in their investment portfolio? It's all just algos and all just short-term.
This is algorama here, man. This is no
algorama.
I mean, they're buying it. They're flipping it. I don't know what the short interest in this.
It's got a dollar spread. It's a $13 stock. It's got a 50-cent spread at all times. Holy cow.
This is going to make the tech bubble look like a tea party. It really
is.
At
least, I don't even know what to say. Tea party. Look at Joel with the joke here. Long Island iced tea. I don't even know if you knew you make that joke. But I don't know what to say. Like, I honestly was saying to you, I was like, I just want to buy it at $6. I wanted to buy it at $6. It was $2.44. It sounds dumb, but man, you just buy it and it just goes up. It's nuts. I unbelievable. Change your name to Long Blockchain. We said to do. General Electric needs to. General Blockchain. I'll get all my money back overnight.
What about pre-market blockchain? Should we just?
It doesn't seem real. You're right.
Be the blockchain show?
It's not a joke. It doesn't seem real.
We're gonna do the blockchain show. Could you guys get Jason on the line? It's no longer pre-market prep.
Just mention blockchain. I wrote the filter. It was in my filter too there. Remember at 8:30 I was talking about what's in the filter and there was this little Canadian company. And then we went on a tangent. I looked back and it was their LTEA. I'm just going to stare at that news filter all day long. It's just skimming off of the, the news wires there. I'm just gonna stare at it until my eyes go buggy.
Can I
wait
read
for the
you a
next
quote?
company you just named a blockchain?
Can I read you a quote from the CEO? He said, "We will, in the coming weeks and months, be taking a series of steps related to our efforts to assemble a world-class team of industry professionals to help us realize this vision," i.e., we haven't actually done anything yet.
But we figured we would change our name first, right?
All it takes is a name change. All it takes.
You know, and think about it.
International blockchain machines.
Do we have a? Is there?
We said that one a couple months ago. IBM. It's crazy, man.
What about the?
I'm in shock. I don't even know. I can't even do the radio show because I'm so in shock right now to watch this stuff happen every day. Every day. Like, look at NETE. It's not even like it slows down. It goes for another day too. I mean, it's up another 10 and 50%. That seems like nothing compared to this LTEA right now, but it's unbelievable. So, they're asking, the Newswire, Benzinga has this, Benzinga Pro has this pumped right in there. It's from Global Newswire. And if you got the Pro, you can just set on your sources. Can you just tell them how to do this, Spencer, on Benzinga Pro? Because Global Newswire can pump right in through your Benzinga Pro.
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Tell them how to do it right now. So you got your Benzinga Pro open. Maybe you can just bring up a video and show them how to add the source to add the Global Newswire, which is where they're sending all of these to the public newswire.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pull it up on my screen right now. If you give me one,
you can do it right in your Pro, and you can get this right hot off the press, like right at the second.
Yeah. So you go into your newsfeed. I'm pulling it up on my screen. Give me 1 second. But you go into your newsfeed. There we go. There we go. Go into your newsfeed. My newsfeed's on right now. I don't know how. Let me try to zoom in a little bit so you can see it maybe a little bit better. But you go to all it is in the newsfeed. Very simple. You go to the newsfeed, go to the sources button, and there's a source in there that says press releases. You just make sure that's checked off, and that's it.
Any public press release. So this came in right. What was the time this came in? Just let us know the actual time.
If I go by searching for my ticker, LTEA, my press release didn't.
Yeah, you just got to hit the press release button there. There you go, Spencer. Boom. We're showing you how to do it live on your Pro. This is why Pro's valuable.
It came in at on GLN Global Newswire at 8:32:20 is when the news broke. It's right there.
And at 8:32:20, your algorithms, who are all programmed for it, bought the stock up. So you can see, it's 0 seconds. So there's very little chance of you getting it in that first second unless you're a high frequency trader, because the high frequency traders are already all over this too now. So they are buying anything that says blockchain. But obviously you can get it after the fact. So if you want to pay up a little bit, which John Dotson did in the chat, it worked. So I mean, I don't know. Eventually they're not going to go up 400 or 500, 700% because there'll be too many companies that are probably going to keep doing this. But there's some money being made here, serious money being made if you're quick.
All right, let's just talk about a real stock here. We have Allergan trading up 229.
Allergan's so boring. I'm so bored with all real stocks now.
Matt asked about it. So,
okay, yeah. I own Allergan. I hate Allergan. I'm down in it.
4 lower highs, 4 lower lows, and 4 lower closes here. So that's not a good sign here. Trading up in the pre-market. I'm not sure if there's there's not a lot of volume trading here. I guess from a swing trade perspective, if you're buying here 165, 166 area, let it go under 160 and, for a risk reward ratio, something like that. But as far as that, I mean, needs to at least break the string of 4 lower highs, 4 lower lows, and 4 lower closes. All right, 859 here. S&P's trading.
Quick ratings.
Any ratings, Dennis?
Spencer, what do you see in ratings land from your Pro?
Why don't I go into my Pro, which is still on the screen here, and go into the ratings calendar and take a look.
We'll show you how to do this. Do a little Pro lesson
this morning. What I see, I haven't checked in a while. Okay, Discover upgrade at Bank America. That's interesting, Dennis. You noted because Discover could still be in play there.
I think so.
Deutsche Bank upgrading Spirit and Allegiant, Save and ALGT. Again, that's Deutsche Bank with the upgrade. Buckingham upgrading Wells Fargo and JP Morgan to buy this morning. That's it for upgrades. As far as downgrades, nothing super. I mean, the PCG we talked about that's also getting a downgrade at RBC with the dividend news. And what else did I see? AXON, I think, was moving off of Jeffrey's downgrade to hold, and I think those are the biggest ones. Do you have an update for imbalances, Dennis?
Everything seems boring now when you compare this blockchain stuff. Snap 61,000 to sell, Square 38,000 to buy, G 145,000 to sell. LTEA is not a New York stock, so you're not going to get a balance there, but I can tell you it's $14. Coke 88,000 to sell, Alibaba 27,000 to buy. FedEx 64,000 to buy, again, the follow through off the good earnings yesterday. Nike 53,000 to sell, which is interesting because trading up this morning off of the finish line numbers. So that's it.
All right. I think we just need to go. Everyone just go take a nap. Everyone just go take a nap. That's all. Everyone go home and take a nap.
Long Island iced tea.
And let's all take a nap and come back.
Let's all go have a Long Island iced tea.
Okay.
Celebrate for John Dotson, who made some money off it.
I'm gonna go, like Jimmy A suggested. I'm gonna go to a bar today and order a Long Island blockchain. And see what happens. Or no, I'm sorry, a long block.